It is. It is Wednesday here at SkiTalk Live. Expecting to find Dan Egan. Well, he is out on assignment. He is doing a book signing back east. And so you've got Phil and Trish here leading the show here today.
I'm pretty excited about it. And we're going to talk about everything from the Women's World Cup to our SkiTalk testers. Yep. You get to meet our testers this week.
Yep. So with everything going on, weather has not been cooperating for the World Cup. I mean, they've had a lot of problem getting events off in Europe, so some difficulty there. And then in the East, we've got a big event coming up in Killington. I mean, they're doing their darndest right now to get snow on the ground, to get the superstar ready so the superstars can run. But it's going to be difficult. The weather upcoming the next week or so for them is gonna be tough.
It sure is. But I gotta ask you, Phil, what is up with this masked ski at Solden?
Well, yeah, on the men's side, we just had a race in Solden. We got Henrik Kristofferson with some skis that we didn't know what they were. And quite frankly, what it was Van Deer Red Bull, Marcel Hirscher's new company, is producing their skis. And right now, they are having difficulty with the overlords of FIS getting their skis branded. So if you notice, they've got some duct tape over their skis. And quite frankly, it has worked in Van Deer Red Bull's favor that everybody is talking about this. It's a ton of fun that they're getting all this basically free publicity. So it's kind of backfiring a little bit for the FIS, and they've got these skis labeled there. So that's going to be really interesting on that side over there. So congrats and some kudos to Marcel, Dominic Tischer, and Tony Geiger and the team at Red Bull Van Deer.
And you know what? If they're going to have to tape their skis, we've got just the tape.
We've got
for
some good tape, duct tape for them. They can put these on their skis to cover up those Red Bull labels. So up here now, we're going to talk about, we got Bodie Miller's new Peak ski. So we've got some new skis that are coming in with the Red Bull Van Deer and also the Peak skis. So there's some changes going on in the industry.
Absolutely. It's pretty interesting to see all these retired World Cup racers coming up with some new stuff.
It's a lot of fun.
But as you can tell, winter's off to a fashionably late start this year. And we've just seen that Breck is opened up today, and Mammoth has just got, 4 or 6 feet of snow?
Yep.
And they're going to be running full hog. So that's pretty fun.
That's fun. And I mean, we're hearing rumors that Palisades might be opening this weekend. We're hearing things both ways, not putting too much money on that part of it. But we're going to be at Mount Rose this week and getting our skis on the snow. And we'll be up there with a bunch of our SkiTalk readers out there and getting some turns in. And we'll be reporting from them with some Facebook and some YouTube Live. So check in there.
And for all of you snow-deprived people on the East Coast, Phil and I are going to be in Boston next weekend at the Snowbound Show, booth K60. Come and see us. Yeah,
so come down, check that out for you folks in the East. Chances are you're not going to be skiing, so you might as well come in and see the show.
So on to our topic of choice this week is we quite frequently get asked about our testers and what it takes to become a tester. And every once in a while, we even have somebody say, you should let me be one of your reviewers because I ski a lot. Well, skiing a lot isn't what it takes. It takes somebody who can get to know a ski and be able to describe it to people. So we're going to have not all of our testers, a handful of our testers were able to join us tonight. We're going to talk to them and you're going to get some input. Please put your questions in the comment section and throw those questions out for our testers this week.
So again, on that note, we get people asking us, how do we test skis? Well, like Trish says, it needs to be able to discern the differences in a ski and who's that ski for, who's it not for, and just to talk about the nuances of them. So here's a little video that we have that we put together of our testers in action at different events. So going through that list, you got an idea as far as some of our testers and what we experience out there at the demo tents. And the first one of our testers that we're going to bring up is Andy Mink. Andy has been a tester for us for a couple of seasons, and then there's Andy in action testing bindings, I think, in that picture. And then we're actually up at SQA. And Andy, his experience actually dates back to the early days back in Pennsylvania, where Andy and I skied together on the small hills in the Poconos. Andy moved out to the Reno Tahoe area, pretty much gave up skiing for the most part. Then we got him back in, and he really came along as a really good teacher and a good tester out there on the hill. And again, be able to discern the differences. Started off as a really solid intermediate tester and has advanced on from there. So Andy.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about your version of skiing and coming back in and what it takes to be a tester.
Well, I think, as you said, I started out skiing in the Poconos when growing up and going into high school, and moved out to the Tahoe area to go to college. And I skied quite a bit through the early 90s, mid 90s. And after kids came along, a little less. And then basically for pretty much the first part of the 2000s up until about I think it was 2016-17 season, where I got back into it. And I had missed an entire segment of skis with the coming of the shape skis. And so the way I look at it is I'm coming in, I'm now 58. So I came in again in my 50s after not skiing for quite some time. And I think I probably represent a large portion of skiers, folks who may have skied before, never skied before, and started again or start for the first time later in life. So when I'm doing the testing on the skis, I try to keep that in mind, that not everybody is a top-notch skier. Not everybody even wants to be. And so I look at it as what can I offer as an intermediate skier, because to kind of steal off Revenge of the Nerds, there's a lot more of us than there is of the expert skiers. And I try to bring that into my reviews, what somebody at an intermediate or advanced intermediate level may feel in a ski, and what ski would be good or what ski would not be correct for that type of skier.
Yeah. So in your time of testing, and again, we're going on a couple of years now, what's the one ski that surprised you the most?
Wow. I think probably the one that really caught my attention was the renowned Z90 when it first came out. That was the ski that you put me on at North Star on my first year back, that really hooked me back into the sport. It made it really easy to ski and enjoy it, along with boots that actually fit. That was quite pleasant. But I think that's the ski that made it for me. I don't know that it's the best ski that I've been on or anything like that, but that is the ski that got me back into the sport.
Awesome. Next up in our testers is going to be Amy Poole. She is Utah based. Snow Basin is her home mountain, and she is a tennis mom. Amy?
Yes.
There we are.
Hello.
So, Amy, what is your testing process? What do you like to do when you first start out at a demo to get on snow?
I ski the same run, which at Snow Basin, the run we take is super long. So ski the same run so that you have the same conditions on every ski. And because I'm already a somewhat cautious skier, I just start to feel them out. And I've had some skis I get on and I'm like, nope. But there's been plenty you get going and they just make you giggle. So
In that testing process that you do, what's your reference ski when you're going out? You're thinking about skis. What ski do you compare other skis against?
Probably my favorite Stokely Nayla 88s that I'm on now. But the Augment, I think it was All Mountain 77 that I skied a couple years ago. That was an amazing ski. So, but the Stokely is kind of the gold standard for me, and I do have that. That's my ski that I ski the most. It's my own ski. I have it, so it's very smooth. I like a smooth riding ski. So
who do you think in the ski testing process?
Say that one more time, Tricia.
Who do you think relates to you?
Probably another intermediate upper level skier, even a lower intermediate skier who is confidence and doesn't always have a lot of confidence, because that's me. I have all the skills, but I lack the confidence, and I know that's partly due to my crash a few years back, where I had a pretty serious injury. But that isn't a former racer, hasn't been skiing a super long time, truthfully, and yeah, they just want a ski that's going to help them develop into a better skier, and also what conditions that ski might be really good in. So I think that that'll help them to progress in different conditions and stuff like that.
So, yeah, I think that's really good. And again, you speak to a lot of, those solid, intermediate, advanced women skiers out there that are looking for that ski that's going to create that confidence for them out on the hill. And I think that's what we're all really looking for in that, is the ability, that ski that we can trust and get better with. So next up, we've got a couple of racers. We got Rudi and Ray. And you got a picture of Amy up there now. You got Rudi Wright, who's actually a USAA coach back east. So he's got a really strong racing background. So we ski with Rudi when he came out west to Snow Basin. That's where that picture is from. And Rudi was really instrumental in getting on some of these narrower, hard snow skis. Rudi, how does your coaching background help you in this process?
A lot of it is kind of informed by the fact that narrow skis don't really forgive mistakes in technique. So a lot of what I'm looking for is something that will bring a racer, or in this case, a prospective skier who wants to get on something that's a high performance bit of an ice skate, will bring their game up. So what I look for is a ski that doesn't fight the person skiing it. I look for a ski that gives the skier the right tool to advance their game. If they want to learn better short turns, better long turns, learn how to carve a clean turn on almost any kind of snow. I look for a ski that handles hard snow without making soft snow a chore. It's a tough needle to thread, but it actually makes it a lot of fun in terms of just finding something that will actually make a person's skiing game better, because skiing should be fun. It shouldn't be fighting.
Yeah. So in that process, especially what you're using a ski for, you're looking at it as being an instrument and not just a tool. So again, we go to a lot of demos, and you've been to demos too. How do you tell if a ski has a bad tune or it's a bad ski? How do you discern those differences?
A lot of it is, it's kind of like a pregame check you do for anything. I will take the skis before I even take them out on the snow. I will check to see if the edges are sharp. Just run my nails on them, see if they take off a little bit of nail. I'll give them a look. I'll check to see if the bases are concave or convex. And then what I'll do when I take the ski out is I will take it on, like Amy was talking about, the same trail every single time with a variety of terrain and snow, and see if it fights me. Do a certain set of drills. What we talk about in ski coaching and in ski instruction a lot are drills. Doing fundamental movements to get things going in the right direction. And I do the same thing with the ski when I audition it. And it doesn't matter whether it's a narrow racing ski, a big all mountain ski, an intermediate ski for somebody to bridge up to expert. It all gets the same treatment of like, this is an instrument that will, if played right, will make you sound really, really good out there.
Now you're talking about some different skis there, and narrow skis, and race skis, and intermediate skis. When you're testing, what is your process? Do you like to test maybe a collection of skis and go through that from narrow to wide or wide to narrow, or do you like to stick within a segment of skis and stick in that 77 to 80 millimeter segment and go through all of those? What do you prefer in that process?
I prefer the latter. I prefer bunching. If there are a bunch of narrow-waisted skis together, do that family together because it's really easy to see small differences between them. If you jump between waist levels too much and widths and side cuts, it kind of sends a mixed message. So it's really nice to have them all kind of bunched as a family, rank them top to bottom, see where their strengths and weaknesses are, and then move on to another segment. And sometimes you need a palate cleanser. So sometimes that palate cleanser is, jump on the 100 to 104 millimeter waist ski just to, to wash it out. It's like taste testing coffee. You want to make sure you have something to cleanse the palate in between the different roasts.
Yeah. Now, Ray, you get on a lot of different skis, specifically on that race side. So if you can come up there and let's talk about some of the race skis that you get on, Ray Tulloch, and how you can compare the different race skis from Rossignol, Augment, and Blizzard. We can go down the full line of skis. What do you take a look at when you're comparing different race skis?
Sorry, Phil. Slight technical hitch. I missed the introduction there. I'm a bit less scientific than Rudi probably in terms of that. To me, it's a lot of it is about feel. I like to just jump on the ski and just push it hard to start with and see how it responds. See if the tip holds up. See if it turns in quickly. I'll also, as you know, if you remember from the Lusty dip when we were testing the Lusties last spring. Yep. I'll also, if I can, I might play about with the mount if I feel the mounting point is wrong and that's why it's not turning in. But really, my normal routine is just to jump on the ski, push it as hard as I would on one of my normal race skis. My favorite skis tend to be GS skis. To me, it's still the most fun to ski to be on. I obviously spend a lot of time on a slalom ski when I'm coaching because it's just easier to work on when you're carrying gates and doing all sorts of other shit. But yeah, I like to push the ski and just see how it's going to handle. Work out who it's for. If it's going to hold up to being pushed hard, or if it's if it needs to be skied a bit more gently. But to me, that's the best way. In some ways, it's a bit like testing cars. It's you want to just if you're testing a high performance car, you want to be able to jump into it and just push it hard to see how it actually handles. And to me, it's very much about feel there. I think one of the things that helps me, I've skied so many different race skis. As you know, for my closet sales, I've bought an awful lot of skis and then recycled them if they don't work for me. And you get the feel for it after 2 runs. If you're still struggling to get the feel for it after 2 runs, you're maybe not there. I like the first impressions for it. I don't like a ski that you're gonna have to stick 10 runs for and find, it works for this. So I like to get the immediate impressions and find out just how it goes there.
So Ray, with you and Rudi both, you obviously have a specialty. You're both USSS ski coaches and very technical skiers, which is a special skill set of the group of testers that we have on our team. So who do you think is relatable to you? When you write a review, who do you think is going to be most likely to get something out of it?
Okay, I think I'd make a distinction. I've never claimed being the same skill set as Rudi. Remember, I started racing at 50. I'm not a long time racer, and okay, well that's a long time ago. I guess 50 is a long time ago, as the old man here. But as a masters coach, I get a lot of people with similar background to myself. They've skied for a long time. They maybe did a couple of races in college and things. They still like a ski. A lot of them tend to be type A personalities as well. They still want to do that. They want a competitive edge. A lot of them have been into motorsport and racing or rallying and things as well. And they want they want that adrenaline buzz. They don't, it's translating that into gates is something is a huge difference. To me, that's one of the fascinating things of being a masters coach. In my athletes, people have never ever been in their gates and national champions, and even a couple of world champions in those at masters level. So you've got to analyze each person there, and a lot of that. One of the reasons I do like to test a lot of skis is because I can also recommend skis to athletes based on watching their performance, their style, how they ski, and knowing how the different race skis perform. To me, that's
really good at picking up those nuances of those race skis, and the way you can tailor that specific ski for that specific skier.
Yeah, so sometimes you can get caught out though. Let me give an example. I mean, I was in Blizzard for GS for several years, and they were pretty successful skis for me. I switched to Rossignol for slalom about 4 or 5 years ago. Loved their slalom skis. So then I went all in, and I bought their GS skis and their Super G skis. That season, my GS went down the hill quickly, or rather down the hill not quickly. Unfortunately, I couldn't work out what the problem was. It took me towards the end of the season after I switched over to Augment to work it out. The Rossignol GS ski had a little bit tip rise, and I tend to make a pretty quick edge set when I'm making a turn. I tend to a very quick transition. I like a typically an Austrian type ski that hooks up, a GS ski that hooks up immediately. And what I found with the Rossignol, because it had that little bit tip rise, you thought it'd start to turn in, but it didn't. So there's like a half second, quarter second delay before it really hooked up. So sometimes you can miss these things. Free skiing, it felt fine. After I'd gone back to Augment, a more conventional type race ski, I worked out. I went back on the Rossies and worked out what was happening with it. So sometimes you can miss these things, but there is all sorts of nuances there, and a lot of it depends on the athlete's style, whether they're fairly aggressive. I don't claim to be the best technical skier. I'm reasonable, but I do tend to be fairly aggressive on the ski as well. Some of our athletes are much more finesse oriented, and there's different skis suit different athletes that way.
Well, that's just great insight on those race skis. Thanks a ton, Ray. Getting these shows together, working with Dan, again, fortunately him not being here, but I'll tell you, big help in the process is CB Sports. CB is just coming back this year, bringing back a lot of their traditional style jackets and pullovers, anoraks, just some great fun stuff and great quality. And again, we've been skiing this. We started last year, and it's just a ton of fun to get back to this old style, the classic style that, quite frankly, never goes out of style. So next up, we have Lauren Albee, one of our female testers from back east, and Tricia's boot sole buddy when they're skiing together.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good.
I remember the first time we skied together, you were out here and we skied at what's now Palisades Tahoe, and we had a ton of fun. And you are one of the unique people on our test team in that you both ski and snowboard. So
Yes.
So tell us, what is your bias? What do you really like to ski? Are you drawn to a specific width, a specific style of ski?
I like to ski the whole mountain. I just like to have a lot of fun with it. And I think that translates a lot from my snowboarding background of skiing and riding the entire mountain. Bumps, trees, groomers. I enjoy it all. I'm biased towards that middle ground ski, that 90 to even 100 underfoot. My all-time favorite is the Santa Ana 100 from a few previous iterations. And even on the East Coast, I definitely have a bias towards that wider ski compared to what a lot of East Coasters do primarily ski.
Yeah, I know when we ski together at Waterville Valley in 2021, we were fortunate enough that we got like boot top or higher snow levels, and we skied on quite a few skis like the Blaze 106 and stuff like that. So we got pretty lucky on that one. But
we definitely did. And we had another year at Waterville this year that we had a day of fresh snow, and I found myself grabbing those 100 underfoot skis to review and didn't really expect that going into it.
right.
Lauren, how do you discern the nuances between a couple of different skis and try to explain that? Because a lot of times people say, "Oh, I like that ski." Well, why? And you did a really good job, and your vocabulary is quite interesting as far as what you're using these descriptions. And I think it really translates well. So tell us a little bit how you come to that.
A lot of the time I like to try to use an analogy of something else that doesn't actually relate to skiing. A common ground to really anybody from a beginner to an advanced skier, that you can find that common ground to compare apples to apples and not apples to oranges.
That's great. And your insight was just a great addition to the team. Next up, we've got Stephen Davis. Stephen is an unusual situation that Stephen came to us to Trish in a boot fit. So I'll let her say a little bit about that.
So I initially met Stephen when I was a boot fitter at North Star, and he had been invited to go skiing there. He'd never skied before. And he skied his first day, took a lesson, fell in love with it. When he was done with his lesson, he came into the shop and said, "I'm going to buy equipment." So I set him up with his very first pair of boots. And this was, he can tell me the date. I'm a little bit lost on that when he comes into the chat. What year was that, Stephen? Do you remember?
I think it was the 13-14 season.
Yeah, something like that. And you are hooked. Now I fit you for your third pair of boots.
Yes.
And how he became a tester with us, he was definitely an intermediate skier.
Yeah.
And he wanted to go ski with us one day, and we were going to Mount Rose for the demos. So we signed him up for the demos, and he got on the chairlift and he started asking us about what we were doing and how we were paying attention to the skis. And as he was describing it, Phil goes, "You know what? There's nobody out there doing ski testing from an intermediate view. We should have you reviews." And he did, and they were a hit because it's exactly that. Nobody else does a review from an intermediate viewpoint.
Yeah. And it really goes back to, I remember an article in Ski Magazine a number of years ago, may it rest in peace. And people had asked, well, why aren't there intermediate reviews? And their answer, quite frankly, was intermediates do not know how to review a ski. And I completely disagreed with it at that time. And again, being able to explain the nuances of a ski, and this is where I'm going to actually put Stephen on a little bit of a spot, because his ski, because of his athleticism, he is actually a professional ballroom dancer. He's very aware of his body. But Stephen, what ski took you a while to figure it out, but once you figure it out and the light bulb went off, it's like, wow.
I remember.
I know that I'm thinking of a particular ski.
I've been on a few now.
Yes.
I can remember the Storm Rider being one that I was not friendly to me early on, but it came along and it was definitely a much better ski for me later. I don't know if that's the one you were.
That's exactly
referencing. Yeah.
What I'm thinking of. I remember early on, and this is when I think your first demo, where you had trouble figuring that ski out. But I think by the end of the season, even the next season, once that light bulb went off, everything clicked for you.
Yeah, it was interesting. Like, I think about when I'm skiing with, like, sometimes I'm skiing with a boot sole buddy testing, and the difference in like his level and my level, because I am an intermediate skier, and like his feedback from that same ski when we switch is just so different. And that Stokely was one like that, where when I got on it initially, it was a beast. I mean, like, it was not fun for me. And then later, when I started developing some of the skills, it was amazing that it was so different. I mean, I think that's one of the great things about having an intermediate reviewer, and not people that were brought up skiing, is I can't just jump on it and race down the mountain, because I've never done that. It's new to me, and I'm a bit of a safe skier given my profession. I try to be a bit careful, and that doesn't always work. But so I think it's interesting how those things change, because it is such a different. You know, we say all the time that there aren't bad skis, but there are wrong skis. So having people, you know, on skis that are for them at that time, just because an ex-racer that's in the industry now says it's an amazing ski and everybody wants to go get it, doesn't mean it's an amazing ski for you.
Yep. And that's where I think that you have a special knack, because you're so aware of technique. You're aware of where every inch of your body is, because you have to with your profession. But one of the things that I am really impressed with is that even though you started skiing, and you said 2014, you have improved and advanced to a point where you're not really an intermediate tester anymore.
We got to replace you.
And but your boot sole buddy is one of our testers that couldn't be on tonight because he had other obligations with Kevin. And you're right, he's a really strong skier. He's what we would consider one of our powerhouse skiers, and you're a little bit more finesse. So you're going to maybe get a little bit different things out of different skis.
Yeah. So, thanks a ton there. Now, we've got a good video that, if you've been on the site, that Vocal put together, and they just did a magnificent job with this new video. It's pretty much been storming the internet. So let's get that rolling.
Okay, so I found the best song. I found the song. Starts off really slow and beautiful in the piano, and then it like builds up, and then all of a sudden it's like. Okay, ready?
All-time loser, headlong to his death. Oh, it feels a piston scraping, steam breaking on his brow. Old Charlie stole the handle, and the train it won't stop going. No, it could slow down. Sees his children jumping off stations one by one. His woman and his best friend in bed and having fun. Oh, it's falling down the corridor on his hands and knees.
I've used every last bit of the energy.
Yeah! I aired it!
Beautiful send. Woo!
Yeah!
Top was sick.
That was like the funnest run ever.
Oh my god.
To go out of one, your toe.
I'll tell you, if that doesn't get your blood going, you should be bowling. So that is just some good Jethro Tull. MU is one of my favorite compilation albums growing up. Next up, we've got the junior member of our test team, Greg Winkles.
Hey,
Greg actually has a good, strong retail background. Has actually worked with a couple of manufacturers on some development of product. So he's wise beyond his years, let's just say that. So he's also our resident look pivot aficionado. Greg, when you're testing, again, and I asked this question early on, but again, you get out there on a lot of snow. Do you like testing the same size ski across the board, or do you test in a segment? What works best for you?
Well, unfortunately, sometimes a lot of the demo skis always come in like a 180-ish size.
Adult size.
Yeah, adult size. Occasionally, I can get them to bring out like a 170-ish is what I like to ski. But it's across the board. I usually get the bigger ski, but I mean, I don't mind it.
You and I usually ski about the same length.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes they bring out a longer women's ski.
Yes.
Yeah.
You get to test a lot of, again, you run into segments too, that a lot of the men's skis and the women's skis, it might just be a different graphic on the ski.
Right. There's a couple manufacturers out there that are pretty much building the same ski and they're just changing over the color.
And your boot sole, you're in a 24.5, right?
Yeah, I like to cram myself down into a 24. To me, it gives me the most control. It feels really good.
So you and Ray could be boot sole buddies.
Yeah, and I sometimes swap with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and you've been testing a lot of the park skis for us and a lot of the free ride skis. Let's talk about that a little bit as far as, I mean, you're dealing with different mount points from time to time. How do you feel as far as how those skis should be set up for the best experiences?
Oh, man, like getting into mount points, I'm constantly re-drilling skis over and over, which I don't mind doing, but as for the setup, I like to go out and test it originally how it's intended to be by the manufacturer, and then I tend to move that mount point forward. I'm not a big person, like I don't weigh a lot, so sometimes getting a little more on top of that camber or a little more on top of the ski gives me more control over it.
So thanks a ton on that. Now we running some contests on SkiTalk.com, and we've got the winners to announce from our last contest, which was sponsored by Rossignol, Toco, and Revo. We got Karen, she's into H2O. She likes water in any different aspect. She's the winner of the Sender or the Rally Birds. My gut feeling is she's going to be going with the Rally Birds. We got Graham Galloway, who I believe here is from Reno. He's winning the Toco tuning kit and the hat. And Richie Silver is going to be winning the Revo goggles, the Bodie Miller autographed Revo goggles. So, Richie, you're really going to appreciate them. And then also we'll throw up next week's contest that we've got started right now, which is going to be the Blossom AM77, one of the skis that our testers really like. We liked it so much, we did a special version of the ski, which went back to this old Spalding Citadel. Again, Toco's all-inclusive wax set, and also
Lecky poles.
Yep, and with their glove combination. So we've got some great prizes coming up. So enter early and enter often. So now we've asked you guys a bunch of questions here. Do you have any questions maybe for Tricia or myself?
How did you get into doing the ski testing from your retail background? I know you sold me my first skateboard when I think we were in 6th or 7th grade. I'm pretty sure you sold me one of my first pair of real skis while we were in middle school or high school. And you've been through, several different shops across from the East Coast out to Reno, Tahoe area. And how did you decide to get in? How did you come along into getting into the actual testing and reviewing of skis?
Well, I'll let Phil speak for himself, but from my perspective, when I came out west and I started working at Start House, I went to the demo with them. And at the time, I was a site manager on Epic Ski, which was prior to SkiTalk existing. And I remember that after the demos, people would ask me ask questions on the site, and I had answers because I'd gotten on so many skis. And I think it was Jim Fowler, Sierra Jim on the site, said, you should write some reviews. So I started to just write some reviews, and it became a hit. And again, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier when we were saying, who do you think would relate to you? I was relatable. I wasn't a pro skier. I wasn't jumping off cliffs. I wasn't ripping big spines in Alaska. And people could see my reviews and see me ski and relate to what I was saying. And that's kind of where I got started in it.
In my case, again, coming from a bit of a sales background, I was able to discern the nuances of the ski and talk about who it's for, who's it not for. And to Lauren, what Lauren mentioned earlier is make the ski relatable to them, to something that they're familiar with. If they're into cars, I'll use a car analogy. Into audio, I'll use audio or wines or whatever works for them. Or
just don't use gear.
Yeah.
It's a rolling rock.
Yes. So, but just find something that they're relatable, that they understood. Bring it to their level and make it comfortable for them. And I really enjoyed doing that. And it got the word of a couple of manufacturers, and then they started reaching out to me to get me on some early production stuff and to test it and talk about that and get the word out as far as, again, work on who's that ski for.
Question for Andy. Did he give you a discount on your skateboard, Andy, or did you have to pay MSRP?
I'm pretty sure it was a good deal, but boy, I wish I still had that deck.
Yeah. Those old skateboards are worth money now.
Yeah, I was just visiting my mom and asked, hey, where is that? She goes, I think that got left in the garage when we moved.
That's a shame.
Oh, no.
Hey, Phil.
Yeah.
Are we going to see a return of the 360 from you?
I got to get another one. It's been a couple of years. I went about 25 years of doing a helicopter. It's a helicopter, not a 360. 360 is on the ground. So it's been a while, but yeah, I need to get another one out there. And I'll take this that I will do a Perform 60.
There you go.
I'll do 3 Perform 60. How's that?
Andy's on film doing one, but it's in the wrong plane.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anybody else have questions for us?
Yeah. Stephen, you're on mute.
Are you auditioning for the morning show?
Yes.
What are you guys most looking forward to this season?
As far as skis wise and products?
Just in general, yeah, this season.
I'm looking forward to getting out and skiing. Last year, we were on the road so much last year, which we will be this year also. But it's going to be fun just getting out and doing some skiing out there.
Yeah,
so,
and I'm looking forward to visiting some of the manufacturers and seeing what they have cooking up this year.
So, do you have any questions for each other?
One last one for you, Phil. What's the latest on Augment Van Deer Red Bull?
They're staying out of the U.S. for this coming year. They're going to come back the following year, 23-24. I've been talking to Dominic over there. So they're getting their game plan in play. From what I understand, with Augment will be coming back as a brand. It isn't going to be just Van Deer Red Bull Sports. Yeah. So they are keeping the Augment name, but they are getting away from the multiple flexes where they went from 10 flexes down to 3 flexes or 3 offerings. Now they're just going to have one major, one flex coming through for each model.
Cool.
I actually have a question for everybody here, and that is, we're going to be testing this year. What ski are you most anticipating testing this coming year?
That's a good one.
I like to get on ones that I really thought were good last year or 2 years ago, and see what if they're a new graphics technology, see if it's the same ski I thought it was last time I skied it, and if it's a new version of a ski, if I can tell the differences. That's one thing coming in when I don't have a lot of background in the variations across, some of the skis they're on their 5th or 6th iteration, but they're not anywhere near the same ski. So for me, that's kind of good. And I mean, a lot of people coming into it now, it doesn't matter what that ski was 3 versions ago. It's what that ski is now. But now I've been doing this long enough, I'm starting to see 2nd and 3rd iterations of some of the skis I've been on, and just being able to tell, what did I feel last time? Why did I really like this ski? And do I still? And I've had a few where I still like them, but maybe not as much. And I'm hoping that's because I'm getting better, but, and not only skiing wise, but also being able to discern what a ski is doing.
Amy, what are you looking forward to?
So much snow in Utah that I only can test powder skis. Because we haven't had that since like 2016, 17. I mean, we've had some, but it just hasn't been snowing very much. So
maybe you need to go to New Hampshire.
Come join us.
So, in the chat on the side here, Kevin Quast says to Ray, "Good stuff, Ray. Great insights. Wish I could have joined you. Terrible internet here." And he also says, "Amy, hurry up with your Oscar the cat sighting."
He went upstairs.
Oscar is about the coolest cat you'll ever meet. So, Greg, I know we get a little tidbits coming in ahead of time as far as what stuff is looking for this coming season. Sadly, I think we have to stay silent on some of this stuff.
I know.
Well, can you guys keep a secret? Well, so can we. So that's how we got such good relationships with these manufacturers that we're on the phone with them almost every other week now, trying to set up new stuff for this coming season.
Yeah.
Lauren, what are you thinking about for this coming year?
Well, actually, based on testing last year, I just picked up a pair of Armada Strangers, and I am really looking forward to getting out on them. I had tested them in a 180 because that was the only size they had available, and I absolutely fell in love. So I bought the smaller size.
Let's say, Lauren, I got a pair for you right here.
So, I can say the one thing I am looking for this year is the new Kesley boot. They did a really good job with a first-year boot from a manufacturer. Kesley, as a brand, is really going all in, and they're looking to be a full-line manufacturer, and with anywhere from $449 package skis up to their premium skis. But to be a full-line manufacturer, that you have to have a boot, and their first-year boot looks really good. I got to spend some time in it last season, and it skis quite well. One of the best first-year boots I've ever skied. And I'm looking forward to having a pair of those in my boot rotation.
And can I just say, on those boots, and those, for the numbers they're being represented at, they are quite stiff.
Yeah.
It has really nice 4-foot room, great hold in the rear of the boot, but man, that 110 is still plenty of boot.
It is. Yeah. I'm looking at, because of the shape of the boot, what's available, I'm probably gonna be happy with the 120.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's going to ski quite well. Ray, again, you asked about Augment coming up. So that was your question there. So, Rudi, what about you?
A quick follow-up, Phil.
Yes.
What was Marcel's feedback on the changes I suggested?
So you asked, so what I'm looking forward to more than anything else is actually going outside my normal testing zone and trying out the entire bent Chetler line this coming year, because I'm an atomic guy, as anybody who knows me knows. I'm actually back on an atomic boot this year for the first time ever. I've been a Lang person for a long time. And the bents were there, but because we had that one day at Snow Basin, I stuck to the Redsters, I stuck to Solomon's narrow stuff, and I stuck to Armada's narrow stuff. So it's nice. It'll be nice to try the wide stuff. In the East Coast demo, I'm looking forward to trying everybody's adult combi ski. To be honest, as a coach, I find they are kind of the sweet spot. I mean, I know, Ray, you spend a lot of time on slalom skis. I find that a slalom ski for me is a little too restrictive. So I ski a Redster X9S as my coaching ski, because it's kind of the adult version of the kids combi ski. And that's a segment that has had hits and misses. Like the Fisher Progressor was one that worked well for a while. There's the X9s, there the Head Super Shape series, the iRally, the iSpeed, that type of stuff. That kind of stuff, it fascinates me, because that's a ski that I know people are afraid to go narrow. And I know, Lauren, you like wide in the East, but I'm still a devotee of stack those bindings and get those angles out there and have fun. And that's something I look forward to up in Waterville, especially.
That's interesting, Rudi. I mean, yeah, I've tried a few of these combo skis, and I always feel when I spend, it feels like I'm shortchanging myself compared to a race ski almost, in terms like that.
If I'm free skiing, I'm on a FIS ski. Just so you know, I'm on a FIS. I'm on an S9 or a G9 FIS. So,
yep. The one thing I hate is loop bindings for coaching. When you never,
yes.
Well, you never have poles, so you've got to stamping it with your ski, and so that's one of the reasons Rudi and I were just chatting. The joke is, as coaches, we spend probably more than 50% of our time on beat up old skis.
Mm-hmm. My kingdom for an old marker rotomat with the ejecto button, because those things were easy to take on. Yeah, put on and take off. Those were great.
I've got how many you want? I've got
a bunch in my bucket too. So.
Yeah, and they make the best door knockers. So, well, I'll tell you, as Dan says, we wasted another hour. So thank you, everybody, for an enjoyable evening, some great information, and thank you for sharing your experiences, and thank you for being part of our team. We couldn't do what we do without what you do.
And remember, you can contact us through the site. If you have questions on any of our reviews, you can reach out to the reviewer.
Yeah,
you're here.
That's one of the things that, too, before we close off, is for anybody out there who hasn't actually gotten on our site and read some reviews, go take a look at them and find the people in our test team. As you can see, with this expansive group of people, there's somebody for everybody to relate to, and you can find that reviewer, you can read their reviews, and you can interact with them and ask them questions, which is unlike most static reviews.
Yeah. So having interactive reviews was something that we always wanted, and that was part of our vision with the site and with the team like you guys, and even the people that have been tested off and on through the years. It's been just a great experience for everybody, and I know our readers really appreciate the work that we do, along with us appreciating the work that you do.
So to close off, and to repeat what Dan says, you wasted a perfectly good hour on a Wednesday evening, and we're glad that you joined us. And remember,
skiing is fun.